Oh no. All right, guys. I'm Doctor McFarland. It's been a few weeks trying to get all my live stream stuff figured out and volumes and just making sure everything's sounding okay. I'm going to bring my volume about right here. That should be about fine. So come on in, let me know how it sounds. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Fractal FM9, which I got in the mail late last week. And I've had a few days to kind of mess with it. And so we'll just talk about the ins and outs and what my initial thoughts are on this unit. This is not a cheap unit by any means. So, yeah. So there's that. Not cheap. So I wonder if I made the right decision or not. In a world of guitar where there's endless great options for guitar gear, FM9 is just, if it's been out for a little while now, but they had to go turbo because of this or that, which this doesn't say turbo on it, but I assume that it is a turbo unit. So y'all come on in, and I'm going to play some Nashville guitar for you for a bit. This is one of my original acoustic guitars. This is a Sigma. It's a Sigma audio. It's a Sigma acoustic. And it does have a 3-band EQ and volume on the top. And it's been a faithful friend since 1995 or so. And it's 2023 now. So yeah, I've had it a very long time. And I restrung it with Nashville tuning, or high strung tuning, which means taking the bottom 4 strings and replacing them with thinner strings so you can tune them an octave higher. And I currently have this in DADGAD, which means it's D-A-D-G-A-D, DADGAD. So this is what some chords sound like on a high-strung guitar with DADGAD tuning. Now, since I've had this guitar for such a long time, it's had multiple fret dresses. So, just for instance, these first 2 frets, they're barely even there. They're just super low. So if I wanted to invest in some money, or take some money and invest in this guitar, you would probably have to do a full-on refret to get back to normal fret size. And I feel like the intonation is not that great, especially the higher up you go. So this C chord here, it's fine, but D, I think it's a little sharp compared to some other. Not bad. drop my pick. Yeah, it's just a little out. But I did use it to record some this morning, and I thought it sounded pretty good. So I have a little Fairchild compression on this vocal here. And I got some Pultec going. Bass all the way up. Attenuated on the same frequency. Let's make it like 30. Check. I'm using this shotgun mic tonight because I'm going to be looking over here and looking over here, and having this mic over here. Check 1 2. It's not even on right now. Yeah, it's not even on. So I'm using the shotgun. So if it sounds more roomy than normal, then that might be why that's doing that. And this signal over here is going into input number 1, or ADAT. I got 2 audio fuse 8 pre ADAT units. One going into the X4 of the Apollo, and the other going into the Apollo X8. So that gives me 16 ADAT inputs, as well as the 4 unison pre's on the Apollo X4 and 4 more unison pre's on the Apollo X8. So that gets me a lot of channels. That gives me 24 mic inputs, as well as the extra 4 line inputs on the back of the X8. And I just got inputs coming out all over the place. So if you're watching and you're interested in the Fractal FM9, we're going to get started on that real soon. A very short word from our sponsor, which is my website, drmcfarlandstudios.com. I have a new backing tracks course. It's not really a course, but you do sign up for it, and you access all the backing tracks I'm going to put out this year. I'm going to do one a week. And so far, January and February are filled up. And I have 2 backing tracks so far for the month of March. And I got to put 2 more out for the rest of this month. So by the end of the year, you get 52 backing tracks that you can either take your acoustic guitar and practice different strumming patterns and playing along with whatever key or chord progression it is. Or if you're a shredder kind of player, then you can practice your shredding and working on your arpeggios and sweep picking and scales and whatever else you think you might want to do in your practice time. So I'm going to turn off that compressor there. Maybe raise that up, raise that down. If it sounds good in my ears, then I assume it's going to sound good to you guys on the stream, because I'm pretty much hearing the same thing that you are hearing. But let me go here, and my Fractal is plugged into ADAT 1. So I'm going to turn that up and turn up my aux2 fader. And I'm going to grab an electric guitar and let's start talking about some Fractal FM9 stuff. Andrew Collins is in the house. He's the resident Helix connoisseur, and he says he made a cool acoustic preset for his Helix. So I've used my head rush at a wedding rehearsal dinner, and it sounded good. So it was cool going back and forth between electric and acoustic options. Let's see, what do I want to play tonight? What do I want to play tonight? Hey, hey. I'm going to go with the Bow Tier Sensei Reverend Sensei RA, which stands for Railhammer, and RA stands for something I can't remember. So I'm going to plug in my cable here. And this guitar does have a tendency to, the plug comes out of the jack very easily for some reason. All right, let's go on to our alternate view. Line this up a little bit like so. So the problem with all these LED screens is you get, you can see the big screen right here, okay? But these other LEDs are kind of overblown and you can't really see them all that well. So, all right, so I'm going out of output 1 on the FM9, and that's going into my interface over here, one of the ADAT inputs. And but this thing has 3 separate outputs you can choose from. So output 1 could go to front of house. Output 2 can be for like a in-ear system if you wanted it to be. And then output 3 could go just to an amplifier or power amp and cab, or FX return of your amp, or whatever you want that to be. So there's a lot of buttons and a lot of knobs on here, and some people say that the Fractal stuff is just not that easy to learn. And at first glance, you know, if you weren't familiar with Fractal at all, it's not a steep learning curve, but it is a learning curve for sure. But they come with great documentation and a really good manual that really breaks down step by step each element and option you get on the Fractal FM9 or the Acoustic FX3 or the FM3 or even the older AX8 units. So this is not going to be an all comprehensive type video, but I do want to kind of talk about my initial thoughts on the Fractal FM9 compared to other units that I've been using and have used in the past. So coming from, let's just start with Helix. The Helix unit, you know, it has a little knob up here, right, that you have to turn. And right now I'm changing different parameters on this current block, which I'm going to set to a shunt and press enter. Then it has home, edit, store, tempo, navigation buttons, page left and right, enter and exit. So if you've never read the manual or seen other people actually using a Fractal unit, you could kind of poke around enough to get, you know, kind of figure out what's going on. But there's just some basic conventions that you kind of have to know by either watching a video or reading the manual to kind of get your head wrapped around what all you can do. So let's take the Helix for instance. So you got basically 2 or 3 different rows that you can fill up effects blocks with, and that's perfectly fine. That thing is somewhat flexible. On the opposite end of that, you have the Fractal, which has this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's a 6x14 grid, and you can put any block anywhere you want in whatever order that you want, and essentially you have a virtual guitar cable, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, if I even know what I'm saying. And you can just connect them all with your virtual cables, and you can have parallel paths. You can have 3 parallel paths if you want. with delays, reverbs, maybe some modulation like chorus and flange or phase or stuff like that. You can have a dry path going out one of the outputs, and then have a wet. So you essentially have like a wet, dry, wet kind of setup if that's how you feel like you want to do. And you can make these switches literally do anything your mind can conceive of. Right now, there are just a few different layouts. This is the main layout right here, which has your scenes, tap tempo, bank up and down. Then it has 5 presets that you can call up. So let me click on that one here. And I'm currently on that preset. So if I go to Nate Basic, I have some scenes called up, which if I hit the scenes button, you can see those come across right here. I can go back to presets and hit another Nate Basic 3, go into scenes, which I don't have any scenes set up. You can always do the little, there's a heel to toe kind of motion you do with your foot or with your hand if you have it up on a table. You hit the bottom switch first, then you hit the top switch next. Just kind of hit those. Then this gives you a lot of different layouts you can choose from. So we got different channels, sets or of songs, a tap tempo, a per preset, which I'm not quite sure what that means yet. You can get to your looper if you happen to have a looper in your rig. You can go to more effects, scenes, and presets. So if I go into effects, it gives you a default layout here that I kind of altered today, just kind of messing around, because I have a certain kind of workflow I have in my mind that I want to do. So I have 2 scenes I can toggle back and forth with this first switch. And for me, if I have multiple amplifiers, or at least 2 amplifiers in the rig or in the preset, I can essentially change between those 2 amplifiers using scenes 1 and 2. And then I can set the rest of the blocks to be not affected by the scene, which, coming from a headrush, you can tell certain blocks in a headrush rig that I either want this to be on or off or no change. So essentially on the Fractal FM9, you can make it say no change and not have the block be affected when you switch to a different scene. So if it's on during a certain scene and then you go to another scene, it's going to stay on until you turn it back off. So we got a few people watching, a few thumbs up here, which I appreciate. I hope things are sounding okay. Probably need to turn the FM9 up. Okay, I'm not sure what's on right now. More effects. I have a compressor on. All kinds of crazy stuff. I feel like there's a flange on or something. There's a phaser on, and the phaser was on the scene switch. So let me go turn that off here and hit, I can hit bypass right there. Store, enter, and that saves your preset. So I did change the effects layout to have the tap tempo on the bottom right. Then if I hold, it goes into my tuner, as you see right there, and I can tune. And it's kind of like a strobe kind of thing on the bottom with like a normal tuner on the top. And so far it works just fine. So the slower the strobe moves, the closer you are to being in tune. and I really hope that things are sounding okay. My voice sounds like it's kind of compressed, but I don't really have any compression on my voice. I mean, per se. I do have a Fairchild on there, but the needle's not moving at all. Check, check, 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2. Oh no. It'll be fine. So if you're watching, and so tell me your name, where you're from, and what is your main guitar setup right now, whether that's a modeler or it could be an amp and actual pedals. Just let me know what you are working with, because that gives me a better idea of what kind of videos I can be making for the channel to help answer any questions that you may have or whatever. Me and my friend Aaron Short were discussing back and forth a little bit today, and why do you buy certain things? And really, in my life right now, I buy certain things because I'm not like a full-time YouTuber, but I need different gear to make content. Otherwise, I'm just making the same kind of videos over and over and over on the same pieces of gear. And to me, that gets kind of boring. It's not boring, but it just gets old after a while. Like the headrush, for instance. I've been making headrush videos for about 4 years now. And I know there's always new things that you can focus on and show people how to use and the reasons why you might want to use them. But I pretty much exhausted all my headrush stuff. I'm still making videos for my website if you're interested in checking out the headrush tone sculpting course. I'm always going to be making videos, staying up to date on showing how to use the latest amps and pedals and whatever else they put in the update. So it's a great guitar. All right, I want to let's have some fun here. Let's go over to, so I made a preset today called Don't Call Me Shirley. And it's based on the Friedman Dirty Shirley, clean and dirty channels. So if I push on this big knob right here, that puts me into the preset. And you can zoom in and out of your blocks. So you can kind of see the full grid, and then you can zoom in and just see one grid at a time. Stuff like that. Andrew Collins has a question. Do you think they will come out with a new Helix with a touchscreen? That is maybe possible. I'm not sure. I did see a teaser today of possibly a new headrush that a very well-known player who uses headrush kind of either accidentally or intentionally kind of didn't give away the whole kit and caboodle, but you can kind of see it's not the same old headrush pedal board that's been out for a while. So I think there is something new with the headrush, which is cool. Will I buy it? I'm not sure. I'm kind of strapped on money right now, investing so much in the Kemper and the now the Fractal FM9. I've already sold the Helix and the Quad Cortex. I have the Helix native plug-in. So for me, for a guy that does not play out only once a week at church, I don't need multiple modelers to do what I need to do. And I'm not really a Helix guy, but I do have the HX Effects and a Amp 1 Blue Guitar Amp 1 amplifier on a pedal board. And so the HX Effects provides all the great effects that I would ever need. as far as playing live. And the amp 1 is a great amp, and it's 100 watts. So I can either send it to front of house or send it to a real cab. But I think Quad Cortex, just to talk about them for a second, I think they kind of looked at the whole market and they kind of copied little elements from each one. So if you look at the layout of the switches, then the 3 switches across the side of the Quad Cortex, that looks exactly like the AX8 from Fractal. And they obviously took the touchscreen from Headrush, maybe some of the routing capabilities and how you add in blocks, and also how you change different scenes and parameters within those scenes. They definitely took that from the Helix. So if you look at that Quad Cortex, you can kind of see glimpses of like Fractal, Helix, Headrush, all kind of balled into one. But to me personally, I felt like it was a great size for being a desktop unit and only using it for the studio. But putting it at my feet with the switches so close together, it was just really, I did not see myself using that live. And for that reason, I sold it, because I don't want to have that much money invested into a piece of gear that I'm not going to use for studio and the stage. I want it to be, I want a unit to be like the full package. And if I'm just going to have a $1,600 or $1,800 unit just sitting on my desk, but not really taking out live, that's just a lot of money just sitting there. No, it sounds great and it does a lot of stuff, but it's just not something that I saw myself using full time. So, but the Fractal FM9, this is definitely a very sturdy. This is made for the road, made for the stage. The switches feel great. They're the soft kind of switches, and you can't touch them. They're not capacitance switches like the Helix, which is a very cool feature about the Helix. But I feel like this screen right here, this is a very similar size screen to the Headrush MX5, which actually is a touchscreen. So it would have been cool if this would have been some kind of touchscreen kind of thing and not had all these switches and all that different stuff. So will Helix have a touchscreen someday? Maybe, maybe not. It's very, very possible. I see 4 people watching, but nobody is talking. So let me know your name, where you're from, and what is your current rig, whether that's real amp, real pedals, or any kind of modeling unit, like a Headrush, Helix, Fractal, Quad Cortex, a Kemper, all that different kind of stuff. So, all right. Let's zoom out here and let's go to here and turn that off. Let's save. All right, so scene 1 is my clean sound. And this is the good all around clean tone from the Dirty Shirley clean channel. Turn on some delay. And I do have that set to dotted 8th note, which gives you that gallopy kind of sound. Okay, let me turn down my headphones just a bit. Y'all let me know if my guitar, I think it should be loud enough. So if I press scene, this This is basically a toggle scene button right here. So you can see that the up here with the blue, it's going from scene 1 to scene 2. And now it has my amplifier, my dirty channel of the amp. Okay, turn on the drive. And I'm out of tune. So I think my guitar has some tuning issues here. I do like this tuner on the FM9. One of the main things I look for in a unit is the spillover and gapless switching features. And you could definitely get some gapless switching using scenes on the Fractal. So far, when changing amplifiers, it's not as seamless as I would hope. And let me kind of show you what I'm doing here. So I got 2 amp blocks here. Let me do something. Let me actually zoom in. Let me zoom in here. Maybe slide that over. I can't slide over that much. Something like that. All right. And then make sure I can't get in focus. Okay. I got 2 amp blocks here. And in order to I have the second amp channel or amp block going in a parallel path down below the first one. So when I switch, it looks like it's pretty seamless, right? There's a little gap there, and there really shouldn't be, because I followed all the instructions, I watched videos, and this Rosh guy on YouTube that has a lot of FM9 videos, he's like, well, you gotta use the multiplexer block. I'm like, what the crap? This is supposed to be like, this is one of the most expensive units out there, and it still has a gap when you switch amp blocks. And that freaking sucks. So, not very happy about that. Sheldon's in the house. He's a frequent in the Fractal Facebook group, and he got his invite, and we'll be buying it tomorrow's current set of his FM3 with stomp pedals. Still love my HX Stomp as well. So Sheldon's asking, is it best to use the oh my gosh 9 setup on the FM9? Maybe, but I haven't got that far yet, Sheldon. I have not got that far yet. I'm basically just using the stock setup for now, and you'll see all this when you get your FM9 in the mail. They come with like a few different papers, and they tell you to go download the manual and all that stuff. But apart from the actual switching of things, I mean the everything sounds great. I mean, the amps sound great. The effects sound great. Could not be happier as far as that goes. Andrew says he didn't want any part of the Fractal stuff. He knows someone who has one, and he says giving him nightmares. Yeah, there's a lot of workarounds. It seems like you have to do to get the gapless switching and all that different stuff. Headrush does have gapless switching between presets or rigs. As far as like the spillover goes, I still think there's a small gap when you change as far as the amplifiers go, but they may be fixing that in the new beta. They're going to get it as close as they can in the new beta that I've seen. So. So far, the best unit for gapless switching, in my opinion, is the Kemper. It definitely has very smooth transition from one rig to the next, and I really don't hear any gap when you switch. And so that would be coming up in future videos. I will be shooting out FM9, Kemper, my Headrush over here, my Blue Guitar Amp 1. You know, how does a real amp compare to the amp models and or captures and or profiles that you can get from these different units. So definitely subscribe down below if you are interested in seeing more of those things coming up. And Andrew, I sold my Helix for $1,200, which I thought was pretty good, considering I didn't have to pay fees and they didn't have to pay tax or shipping. So that worked out good for both of us. But I think for the money, I mean, the Helix is a good unit for the money, for sure. It does a lot. It's very, very versatile, and the effects sound great. The amps sound, I don't want to say the amps sound amazing, but they sound definitely good enough for most things that people do out there. The amps and effects on the Fractal they're just outstanding. Really, really good. All right, let's go ahead and make a new preset here. Let's go home, and so we got empty block. So from scratch, we're on the home page right now. We're going to hit the big button once. That brings us into our grid. Okay. And so I can use my navigation to do all kinds of stuff. Once you land on a block, on the Helix, this is very small differences, but on the Helix you have this little toggle that you can either push side to side or you can turn. With the Fractal, you just have a turn knob, and you kind of have to use these navigation buttons to go back and forth. So once you get on a block, you have to start turning, and I'm going to create an input block and press enter. Okay, you have to press enter, otherwise it's not going to work. Now I'm going to hold down enter and make a row of shunts right here. Then the last block, I'm going to start turning, and this is going to be output 1. Okay, and press enter. So now you can hear that I have basically a really good DI sound. Yeah, I thought it was a good price. Some guy offered me like $800. I'm like, dude, I'm not just going to give it away. I'm not an idiot, okay? Some people think that if you sell something on a marketplace or anything online other than Reverb or eBay, that they can just offer you like half of what you're asking for and get away with it. I'm like, no, dude. I'm not going to bring down the price of the market just because you want to lowball me. This doesn't make a lot of sense. I have very little patience for those kind of people that just want to get everything for nothing. So I'm going to add an amp. And add a cab. And now I have essentially an amp and a cab signal chain, right? All right, now this cab right away, I need to figure out if there's a way to save like favorites, kind of like on a Helix. Helix might be the perfect unit. I'm not sure. Kind of like on the Helix, you know, I'm comparing everything to the Helix, but it is a great unit. If you watch the worship tutorial channel, they're definitely big Helix fans. Now at this point, if you want to edit any of your blocks, do not turn, do not press enter, do not press exit. You have to hit edit. Okay. This is something that took me a little while to get used to. So I'm going to go to factory 2 because I found on factory 1 it's all like the small cabs and a bunch of different stuff. And I repeat, I am not going to use FM9 edit. On my channel, I'm only going to use the interface as you see on the unit itself. I'm not going to use any special editing software to make it easier. I think, in my personal professional opinion, I think you need to know your unit inside and out without the aid of an editor on your screen. Because what's going to happen is you're going to show up to a gig and you're going to be like, oh crap, I need to change the sound real fast, but I don't have my computer, I don't have my iPad. You know, the Kemper has like an iPad app you can have, which is really cool. You can even download the app on your phone. You have to know how to use your unit when you're playing out, because you just need to. There are times where you're going to need to edit something, and you just have to know how to do it. So, on my channel, subscribe below and click the bell. I'm only going to use the user interface on the unit itself and no editing at all. So I'm on factory 2, and I could choose the 2x12 double reverb. That's fine. This gives you a lot of different microphone options. I'm trying to get to a 4x12, 300 watts. There's a Citrus, which is like a 57. All kinds of different cabs. Now, mind you, doing it this way is going to be a little slower. Okay. But here's a greenback of some sort. I don't like that one. Vintage 30. Alright, that sounds fine. Now, when I'm done, I'm going to hit exit. I'm going to use the navigation buttons to go over to the amp. Press edit. And now I'm going to choose a different amp. So I can use my wheel to scroll up and down between the different options here. And then if I want to go from row to row, I can just use my left and right navigation buttons here. They do have a Euro red, which is your Bogner stuff. And let's see what Andrew says. That would suck to get a gig and can't make any changes. Well, you got to know your unit, folks. You got to do the homework. You got to do the homework. You gotta know what you're getting yourself into. Okay, not too bad. Let's go with the modern. Okay, all the FAS stuff is Fractal Audio Systems original. They're not original, but they're based on certain things. Okay, obviously we can go either high gain or we can go some clean. All kinds of stuff. Let's go to another area here. We got all the Friedman stuff. HBE, BOD. Okay. Hot Kitty. Yeah, sounds good. Blues Junior. I actually kind of like that. Just for fun, let's go and put in a reverb block. So turning the dial till we get the reverb, pressing enter, press edit, and I can go in and do all kinds of fun stuff here. So there's all kinds of crazy sounds in here. Coliseum. So I will be doing a comprehensive look at each effect category. So reverb, delay, drives, all that stuff. The deep space. Something I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure that there's no specific auto swell like block that you can just throw in, right? Like on the Helix or a Head Rush or anything else. You have to add a volume block and then adjust the you have to add a modifier either via envelope or ADSR or all kinds of weird stuff. So JM's in the house, and I actually know who that is. And I can't play Sweet Child of Mine because I would get a copyright strike, and then this video would not make any money, and I would not be able to retire. So I'm not looking to retire anytime soon, but every dime that I make here on YouTube is going into a fund that saves for my retirement eventually. This is my side hustle, by the way. I don't do this professionally. I don't do this full time. I have a full-time job, 40-hour week. I do work for a console company, which is kind of cool, but YouTube is just a passion. It's a side hustle for sure. And any money I make through my website or through Google AdSense or any of that goes to either buy gear to review or gets put into a retirement fund, if you will. So I kind of like the deluxe reverb. Okay, so you might say, Nathan, you've chosen a reverb, but how do you edit the reverb? Now, this is where you use the page button. So I'm going to page over. And there's all these little tabs across the top over here, which you may not be able to see. But now I'm able to access the top row, which has time, delay, size, mix, and level. But there's other parameters that are grayed out, and you have to hit the down button to navigate down the screen. And now you can change some other things as well. It's like moderate. You can change the number of springs. Okay, we can go EQ this if we want. We can go to advanced and change the time, the size, literally just all kinds of stuff in here. You can change the boing, boing. So if you want to really dive in and tweak to your little heart's content on every aspect of your tone, then the Fractal definitely allows you to do that. See the bypass mode? This is very important. So let me show you, which I don't have a reverb assigned to a block right now, but this bypass mode needs to be on mute effects in. That is very explicit in the manual that it needs to be that way. Otherwise, when you turn off the reverb, it's not going to have the trails keep going. So for instance, let me go back and let's turn up the time really long, like so, and I will bypass the block. And you can hear that it just keeps going forever and ever. Right? Turn back on. Okay, if you leave it on through, which is its default state, then you will always get the tails cut off when you bypass it. So you want to go in and edit that for every effect or wet effect that you add in. You want to change the bypass state from through to mute effects in. Okay, and I'll do a separate video on that. Let's go change the type. Let's check out some other ones here. We got Cathedral. And I actually like that. So we'll turn the mix of it down just slightly. We'll add in a delay. Like so. Press enter. Press exit. And we got a few different delay options here. I don't have a stereo setup tonight, so I'm not going to do any ping pong stuff. But we can do like a memory man kind of thing. We can change the time or tempo right here. I'll put this on dotted eighth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I turn up the mix here so you can really hear it, and adjust the time. Oh, sorry. Weird, look at that. Didn't mean to do that. I want to adjust the feedback. Sorry. Okay. I turned off the delay and you notice that the trails quit. Do it again. Okay. So that tells me I need to go over to advanced, Scroll all the way down and put this on mute effects in. Press store, enter. Like so. Press my big button. Turn it on. Press edit again. Let's go back a few pages. Adjust the mix. Okay. So we have reverb, delay, amp, and cab. We're going to add in a drive. So turn the wheel till we get to drive. Drive 1. Press enter. Press edit. And we have 63 different overdrives to choose from. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts. Blues OD, which is your Marshall Blues Breaker, which they just come out with a new pedal, but hey, you get it for free in the Fractal FM9. The Compulsion Distortion, which is one of my all-time favorites. Really, this would be my workaround for gapless switching, is not using multiple amps. Just use one clean amp and then kick it in with the full tone. Okay, something like that. Go to basic, maybe turn down the volume. And the Helix has a OCD version. So does the Headrush, so does the Quad Cortex, so does the Kemper. Pretty much everybody has some kind of OCD-esque type sound. So I wonder if there's a Freeman BEOD pedal, which I'm sure there might be. Here's a Klon, for instance. You always want to check your bypass state or bypass volume versus your on volume. And making sure you're not adding too much volume overall. Something like that. Turn the gain up. Okay. Now with the drive blocks, we can adjust EQ, a graphic EQ kind of thing. We can adjust the mix. We can adjust the bypass state. For this, I just want it to be through, because if I have it on mute, it's just going to mute the signal, which I don't want. There's advanced, which means you can change the diodes, the diode quantity, the diode type, just all kinds of stupid stuff. The dry level, bass response, just really too many things. I was going to try and find a BOD. There's an OD250. There's an octave distortion, a jam ray, which is very popular with the blues guys. A metal zone. Aaron Short's in the house, and he is sarcastically saying, "Just get a Helix. Sounds better than a real amp." Yeah, well. So what if you bought a Fractal FM9 and you only used a Blues Junior amp model, you only used a metal zone distortion, you only used a run-of-the-mill reverb and a Memory Man style delay, and that was it. Like, that was your rig. I think you just spent a lot of money for nothing. But hey, Metal Zone is Metal Zone, right? I'm trying to not get my head knocked off here. You can adjust the distortion, the bass, middle, treble, and the level. And there's also a mid frequency there. So check this out. So we're going to boost the mids. And then we're going to sweep the frequency. Okay, then go back and turn down the mid knob. And that will allow us to get a little bit of scoopiness sound. Actually, if I were just gonna get this rig, I would just get a Helix and just be like, "There's my clean amp. There's my metal. There's my metal zone distortion pedal, and some delay, some reverb. Call it done." Maybe all roads lead to Helix. Maybe, I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, I might agree with you. It sounds good, but not that much better than the Helix, just my opinion. Really, none of these units are just blowing me away. When I first plugged into a Kemper, that gave me an instant feeling of, wow, this is slightly different than my Headrush. But really, the Fractal unit is really not that different in sound compared to a Helix. I think the Headrush has a lot of great qualities that still sound great as far as the amps and effects. Some of them aren't up to snuff, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the Fractal is just more about tweakability than anything. But you know, Leon Todd, you know, he has a great channel. Gives a lot of good tips on the Fractal and how to dial in things. And his tone is amazing, but not to say that he couldn't use a Helix. You know, it's just the way it is. I'm still on the hunt for a BOD kind of sounds. Got a Rat, Hoodoo drive, Heart pedal, Precision drive, Sonic drive. There's a Shure Riot, Timmy, which I know the Helix has a Timmy in it. Zen Master. I'm going to go back to my tried and true here and just stick with the compulsion drive. And let's go to edit. Actually, sorry, let's go there. Ah, crap. See, I've already messed up. Page over. Turn up the volume. All right, I'm going to leave us. It's been going for about an hour here. I'm going to leave us with a really cool effect here. Let's change this from delay to a multi-tap delay. Let me show you what this can do here. This is kind of neat. So, okay, we got that kind of thing. I think it's the ambient, like quad tape. This is really where the Fractal shines, is the wet effects. I mean, the amps and drive blocks, I mean, yeah, they sound really good. Nothing that the Helix can't do or whatever else. But some of these atmospheric kind of stuff is just crazy. Something like that. Circular delays. Let's go over to like rhythmic bands. Something. Shadow taps, space tape. I think my favorite so far is just the ambient tape delay. Let's go over here. So all of this stuff, I mean, this is, you have to really dive in and edit all this crap. It's just a lot. There's a lot to edit. There's a diffusion mix. So there's a threshold. Probably have to just go over and go to mix. So that makes it easier. Just bring down the mix. Make sure the bypass mode is set to mute effects in. And store, enter. Alright, to me, yeah, I like my headrush as well, especially since it's already paid for. A lot of things sound really good when they're already paid for. That's for sure. let's go on to my let's bring up a web page here. Let's go to my website, Dr. McFarland Studio. Actually, I need to go to where I'm logged in. I'm going to end this stream with a little backing track that you can get for $20, and that gets you the whole year's worth of backing tracks, all 52 weeks, for one-time payment. You can either practice your chords, your strumming, you can practice shredding, scales, whatever you want to do. Let's see, what do I want to do? Silky ambient groove in B minor. Let's see what this is. Yeah, this might work. Have to help me with the volume here. Alright, let's try it out. B minor. I want to talk about something kind of fun that I've been doing for a while. When I pick with my hand here, I will either let the pick hit my knuckle, or I'll use the tip of my finger and for the same kind of technique. So I'm doing a pinch harmonic. Right? Or you can use your finger. right? Kind of using that knuckle there to get some pinch harmonics. It's kind of fun. I find myself doing that a lot. Sean White's in the house. He says, sounds good, but I love my head rush though. I mean, it's true. It is so true. I will be doing some videos the next coming weeks and months, I'm sure. Just hashing out the sounds on the Fractal compared to other units I already have or have used in the past. And yeah, I mean, Fractal sounds really good, but that doesn't mean things have to, that doesn't cost quite as much, doesn't sound just as good. I'm looking at some cheap guitars right now that come with stainless steel frets and, great appointments, roast maple necks and all that kind of stuff. And like, you get all that for like $300, $400. It's just nuts. So the technology today, it just brings in a world of possibilities that you just don't have to spend a lot of money for, really. So have you ever heard a Blues Junior sound so good? It's just nuts. Let's go to amp. Let's do one more thing here. Let's find a different amplifier. Here's like a matchless chieftain. Here's an ODS, like Dumble type stuff. So, Robin Ford. An HRM. It sounds good, but it's not like a Helix can't do the same thing. We all just love the Helix after all, right? PV6160, I mean, that doesn't suck. Sounds really good. Plexi 2204. Not all the amps come like pre-baked with like the good settings all the time. You have to go in and tweak things. But I mean, dang. A Princeton reverb. A Princeton with a F5 F2, which is a different output tube. Okay. I mean, that Princeton sounds really good. Here's a Recto Mezzo Boogie. That sounds nice. Scoopy. Here's a Soldano. That one's clean. Here's lead. Okay, I'm fine with all that. Here's a spawn, which is a splon. So that's what I mean about volumes. You just have to turn them up. That sounds fine. Andrew is saying something about CNC machines. Maybe a matter of just oh, he's talking about the guitars. Yeah, guitars nowadays can just be made by a CNC machine, and they're great. You can just type in the specs, and they'll pop out a guitar that, you know, used to cost thousands of dollars, and now it only costs like $500. So see, to me, a splon is just a it's just a hot rodded Marshall. So that's why I kind of like these like, I like the FAS models because they pretty much sound just as good as any of these other amps, whether they're modified or not. I mean, that doesn't suck. That sounds great. Let's go in and adjust this a bit. Does that sound just as good as a Muzzy Boogie dual rec? I mean, at the end of the day, if it's a sound that you like, it doesn't matter what it's called. You can call it Andrew Collins super duper awesome amp. And if it sounds nice and thick and full like you want, it's really all that matters. It didn't have to be called a Marshall or a Muzzy Boogie or whatever else. We just associate those names with certain sounds because that's the sound of the amp. But if you didn't have, if you were just listening to a record, you're like, hey, that's a super saturated, like heavy sound. I mean, it could be all kinds of things. It could be a splon. It could be a Muzzy Boogie. It could be a Soldano. It could be a Fractal Audio Systems Lead 2 preset. I mean, who knows? At a certain point, it just sounds, if it either sounds good to you or it doesn't. That's all that matters. Wow. Alright. I like all that. A lot. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So, here's a really super heavy amp, a cab, multi-delay, a reverb, and an out. Now, let's go back to the Helix one more time. So I feel like I was justified in selling the Helix because I do have a Helix native plugin, which I can essentially get the same exact sounds just through my computer. And I do have an HX Effects with a Blue Guitar Amp 1 on a pedal board. And between that amp and the HX Effects, I can get all kinds of different sounds. So what's cool about the Blue Guitar Amp 1 is it has 4 different channels: a clean, a vintage, a classic, and a modern. And all these amps in the Fractal are in the same vein as those 4 channels. So if you got a clean sound on the Fractal, it's pretty much the clean channel on the Amp 1. If you have a vintage sound on the Amp 1, it's essentially going to be like a JTM 45, some kind of lower gain. It doesn't have to be low gain, but like it's not as crunchy and like saturated as like a JCM 800 or Engel or any high gain amplifier. Then once you get into the classic and the modern, it's just, it can be a Marshall, it can be a Soldano kind of sound. And really how close they get is not really the point. If it gets you the sound that you're after, then as Andrew is saying right here, and helping me reiterate, call it what you want. It doesn't really matter. If it's the sound you're going for, if it sounds good, just play. Okay? And at a certain point, I can have all the amps in the world, but I'm sort of just going to play the same 5 licks over and over and over, right? I'm just going to go like, oh, I'm going to play. Right? I could be playing that all night and have an awesome tone, but you as a listener is going to be very, very bored because I'm not playing interesting things that keep you listening to the song. So I should probably just sell all this stuff and just get back to basics and just learn to play better, just improve my chops, and then worry about the actual tone that my guitar sounds like. Because really at a certain point, I mean, I don't care what your tone is if you're not playing anything interesting. So, not saying I'm a horrible player. I mean, I've been playing for 25 years, but I'm a great rhythm player. But when it comes to like lead type stuff, I just kind of get trapped in a box. And, I need to branch out and learn from some different stuff. So, anyway, if you're in the same situation as I am, maybe you've been playing for a while, but you just need to break out and do something different, actually learn some other licks, then don't worry too much about your sound, your tone. Work on playing better and playing more interesting parts and more interesting solos, because I think your audience will appreciate that more than what you actually sound like. My friend Corey, who is a fellow Head Rush guy, all he plays for his live show, which is a country rock type band, he uses the Bogner amplifier with one of my Sonic DNA IRs, and he just uses the clean and the crunch or lead channel of that model in the Head Rush all night long, and he didn't need a lot of switching. He just plays his butt off, and I think he does pretty well for himself. So we've been going for an hour and a half. I do appreciate everyone sticking around and saying hi. Thanks to Andrew and Sean and the rest of you for leaving comments. Let me know I'm not just talking to myself up here. And yeah, Fractal FM9. Did I make a good choice? I guess I already took all the screen protector sticky stuff off. So I'm gonna keep this for the long term. Be making videos with it. do a lot of comparison videos with it. And if people say the Fractal is the epitome of guitar modeling as far as sound goes, then this will be a good unit to keep around and have that benchmark, I guess, of things to compare to. And yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. The switching, I'll get all that worked out eventually. But yeah, be sure to subscribe, click the bell, leave comments on my channel. Trying to get to 20,000 by the end of this year, and I'm currently just shy of 12,000. So the reality of actually getting 8,000 subs in the next 9 months, can it be done? Maybe. But if I don't reach 20,000, I still have not failed. Because really the goal of my channel is to teach and to motivate and inspire, maybe a little bit. And if I've done that to at least one person, then it's all worth it. So subscribe down below, leave comments on my videos. Let me know what kind of questions that you have, because that's really where I get my ideas for making videos. Is I take them from your questions. So if you want to learn from somebody that actually has the unit and can do a hands-on review, or just a tutorial on how to use a certain piece of gear, then I'm your man. Let me know what you think, and I will do my best to put your video topic on my list of things to schedule and make videos for. And you'll grow, I'll grow more in knowledge about all this guitar stuff, and we'll just have fun. So thanks guys for watching. I am Dr. McFarland, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep rocking.